This terrifying true urban legend has been circulating among the people for a long time. It is said that there was a merchant named Li in Qingzhou who often traveled far for business. Sometimes he would be away for several months, rarely returning home even once a year. Mr. Li had a wife named Mei, who was extremely young and beautiful. She was often left alone at home. In those days, women were expected to uphold their virtue as wives, so Mei mostly stayed indoors and rarely went out. The household also kept a large white dog, which made Mr. Li feel at ease whenever he traveled far. However, in that same year, after being away for several months, Mr. Li returned home. This time, he planned to open a fabric shop near their house so he could stay closer to his wife. As the saying goes, short separations make reunions sweeter, like the honeymoon phase. Distance makes the heart grow fonder. Having been apart for so long, the couple quickly retreated to their room to catch up and share their feelings. Only the white dog, not understanding the situation, stood outside the door, scratching and whining to be let in. That night, a heart-wrenching scream echoed from Mr. Li's house, causing a commotion throughout the neighborhood. A neighbor quickly reported the incident to the county magistrate, who immediately dispatched officers to investigate. They rushed into Mr. Li's house. While the outer gate was locked, the inner door had been left slightly ajar. When they entered, a horrifying scene left the two officials speechless. Mr. Li had been brutally murdered on the bed, while his wife sat in the corner, crying in terror. His throat had been torn out, and his body was covered in claw marks, so deep that the bones were visible. The officials questioned Mei about what had happened, but it took her a while to calm down before she could speak. Recalling the previous night, Mei tearfully and haltingly spoke of a monster. The night before, as the couple was getting intimate in bed, suddenly the door burst open and a red-haired demon rushed in. Without a word, it attacked Mr. Li. With a single swipe of its sharp claws, it slit his throat. Even more horrifying, the demon bent down and drank Mr. Li's blood. Mei, paralyzed with fear, could only watch in terror. However, one of Mr. Li's servants found his master's death too suspicious and reported it to the authorities. He revealed that neighbors had told him about Mei's adulterous relationship with the white dog, which they believed was the reason for Mr. Li's murder. The magistrate, furious, dismissed the story as absurd. How could a woman engage in such depraved behavior? The guards quickly brought Mei in for questioning. The magistrate was stern and demanded that Mei tell the truth. But Mei continued to lie, insisting that her husband had been killed by a demon. The magistrate, enraged, confronted her, saying that someone had accused her of adultery with the white dog, which had killed Mr. Li. Hearing this, Mei refused to admit it. She wept and pleaded her innocence, demanding to know who would slander her honor so viciously. To get to the bottom of the matter, the magistrate ordered the white dog to be brought in, believing the truth would be revealed. The magistrate declared that if the dog behaved strangely toward Mei, the accusations would be proven true. Sure enough, as soon as the dog saw Mei, it became excited and immediately lunged at her. Even more horrifying, it tore her clothes and acted in a terrifying manner. It then performed an obscene act with Mei, leaving the onlookers shocked and unable to believe their eyes. With the accusations confirmed, the magistrate demanded that Mei confess honestly. At this point, she had no choice but to reveal everything. She explained that it had all happened because of her husband. Mr. Li was often away on business, while Mei in the prime of her youth, felt unbearably lonely and empty. How could she endure it? All day, she only had the white dog for company. Over time, she began to entertain the idea of engaging in intimate acts with the dog. Every night, she would bring the dog into her room. On the night of the murder, as the couple was being intimate, the dog burst into the room and killed the husband. Mei Mei confessed to her crime, and for violating moral principles, she and the dog were paraded through the streets by the guards. As they passed through the village, the officials set up a curtain and charged curious onlookers a fee to witness the spectacle. They placed Mei Mei and the white dog behind the curtain and performed the obscene act for those who paid to watch. In no time, they collected a significant amount of money from the curious crowd. In the end, both Mei Mei and the white dog were publicly executed by beheading. This incident became widely talked about and passed down as a cautionary tale among the people.
This terrifying story happened to a man named La. One night, he suddenly woke up from a nightmare. In the dream, his great-grandfather appeared and told him the day of his death was approaching. From that moment, La was filled with constant worry, and on the 3rd of October, the whole family gathered around to keep watch, fearing that he might pass away suddenly. As time passed until the 2nd watch of the night, everything remained calm. The family began to feel that they had feared unnecessarily because of a dream, even finding it somewhat amusing. After a while, La got up, saying he needed to go to the bathroom and would return to sleep shortly. However, he was gone for a long time without returning. The family, growing worried, went to search for him. They found La's clothes scattered on the ground outside the gate. They saw him lying unconscious on the ground, barely breathing, and quickly brought him back inside. The family gave him water and medicine, and eventually La regained consciousness. When asked about the cause, La explained that a maid he had once forced himself upon until her death had returned to take revenge. He told them that while he was out relieving himself, a female ghost suddenly appeared behind him and attacked him. The ghost tore off his clothes, just as he had once done to the maid. Then, the ghost dragged him before King Yama to be judged. Fortunately, beside King Yama stood a former friend of La's father, who had pleaded for La's life, speaking on his behalf. King Yama also reviewed the records
and saw that La's ancestors had accumulated great virtue over 3 generations. Himself had done many good deeds.
Therefore, his life had not yet reached its end. La's father's friend then said that his father had 3 more years to live, and once his father passed away, La would also be granted an additional 3 years. He should strive to honor his father in the meantime. La had believed that his father would live long to enjoy his blessings. However, unexpectedly, his father fell ill with a strange disease. His stomach swelling like a drum. The physician said there was much fluid inside him. Despite numerous treatments, his condition did not improve. His father suffered daily, in pain, living in torment for 3 years before passing away.
La blamed his father's friend for lying to him, believing it had been a curse, not a blessing. However, his wife suddenly had an epiphany. She suggested that what his father's friend had meant was big belly, a reference to the disease, not big blessing. Perhaps it was just a coincidence in pronunciation. Her words made La realize that the friend hadn't said his father would have a great blessing, but rather referred to the disease his father had to suffer. La thought that after honoring his father for 3 years, he too would face a similar fate. Sure enough, a few days later, La began to suffer from the same illness. He endured the pain for 3 years before suddenly passing away.